Hello, everybody, and welcome to the presentation of the professional life of Luis Rano as an IT engineer intern from Cal Poly Pomona, here studying in London for spring 2014. In this presentation, I will give you some insight on what I have been up to this quarter as I work and study in one of the largest cities in the world. I'll be talking about where I work, my daily responsibilities, some of the projects I was able to work on, and what I thought of this overall experience. I was hired by Bates IT, which is part of a company called Bates Group that specializes in delivering professional services and projects across the United Kingdom. Some of the other components of Bates Group include Bates Infrastructure and Communications, Bates Facilities Management and Construction, and Bates Healthcare Innovations. As an IT engineer intern, I would be working within the IT department of the University College London Hospital, which is part of the National Health Service here in the UK. Our working location included all 6 hospitals that are part of the UCLH campus, where we manage the IT support of over 6,000 devices and about 8,000 users. All of this was done from an office within the hospital where we had around 20 regular employees. When I first arrived to my internship, one of the first orders of business was to develop a work plan that would fulfill my learning objectives and expose me to valuable technical experience. Rather than just working in one position, I was given the opportunity to work in the various positions within the office, which included desktop moves and installations, desktop software and hardware support, and even some projects and administrative support. Desktop moves and installations was one of the first tasks that I began to do. This consisted of surveying locations within the hospital and making sure that everything was set for a PC to be installed there. Once I finished with the PC installations, I was ready to move on to the desktop support team. This was one of the tougher responsibilities I had due to the fact that I had to interact with different people and be ready to troubleshoot any kind of situation. However, I enjoyed being able to be out of the office and explore the different parts of the hospital campus. Now I'm going to talk a little about what my project consisted of, which was a required component of the academic portion of my internship. For my project, I assisted the project's manager in performing patches for a security vulnerability which affected the group policy objects of over 2,500 PCs on the network. All of this was done remotely using a program called Remote Desktop Connection, which meant I did not have to leave my office in order to fix these PCs. However, one of my biggest challenges was gaining remote access to these PCs. Users would often be logged in, which prevented me from having remote access to fix the issue. A large percentage of the PCs had this problem, so my challenge was to increase the percentage of PCs that I could target and fix. Some helpful resources that aided me in this project were my previous knowledge of PC repair, experience from my CIS 200 class, and of course my colleagues within the office. Although this project presented itself with some difficulties and challenges, at the end I was able to learn many new things from it. Through this project, I was able to learn a lot about the technical components of the job. I gained a better understanding of some Windows components, such as managing services, Windows registry, and using Batch, a script language that was able to automate many of the tasks I had to perform. Here, you can see some of the pages from the final report I presented to my supervisor upon completing my Windows XP project. After reviewing my final report, my supervisor gave me the opportunity to work on a smaller project for him where I had to consolidate information and generate a report on the daily activities of our employees. A big challenge was working with the limited information my supervisor gave to me, but I was able to make it work and submit my report back on time. The biggest learning experience I took away from this project was knowing the difference between data and information. For example, although you may have a lot of data about your company, it is important to have a way to turn that into useful information. Here you can see a page from my final report in which I was able to create a summary of useful information from the data that was given to me. Now that I am at the conclusion of my internship, here are some of the highlights of the contributions I was able to make while working at Bates IT. I was able to hit the floor running and help out on my first day with the major issue affecting Windows 7 PCs. I also increased the efficiency of desktop support calls being completed by having an extra member on the team. Also, in one occasion, I was able to use some of the knowledge I had learned from my project and apply it in a desktop support case. I was also given the opportunity to give my input and report on what I had been working on during our weekly staff meetings. In terms of the culture here in the UK, I don't think I had much trouble adjusting, but there were some differences worth noticing. For one, most workers here were from the UK, except for a small minority who were from different European or Asian countries. Also, the language was a little different, and I often had problems understanding my colleagues, either because of their accent or because I wasn't familiar with the phrases they use here. To conclude my presentation, this internship has given me many new experiences and exposed me to new skills that will be valuable upon my arrival back in the States. Working with RDC, batch files, and a command terminal are definitely going to help me out in my future CIS courses. Being exposed to how IT management works will also be a big gun in my arsenal. From here, I plan to use these skills to obtain an internship that will hopefully get me closer to my goal of obtaining an IT career upon graduation from Cal Poly. Also, the international experience that I received here will definitely be an eye catcher on my resume to future employers. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope you got some insight on what it's like to be an IT engineer in London.